Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Dollpreneur podcast, where we celebrate the creativity, passion, and entrepreneurship of dollpreneurs around the world, those who bring dolls, toys, and stories to life. I am your host, Georgette Taylor, and today I'm so excited to chat with Annette Bentley-Smith. She is the founder of Storytime Plush Tales and the creator of Kobe, a plush doll character with a powerful story to tell. And I want to welcome you, Annette, to the Dollpreneur podcast. Thank you so much for joining me.
Well, thank you so much for having me.
You're so welcome. I'm so excited to get into your journey about you creating this beautiful plush doll. Can you just share a little bit about what inspired you to do this and how did Kobe's story come to life?
My journey actually started as a writer. I have self-published many books, and that I self-published through Amazon back
Mm-hmm.
in 2015.
Mm-hmm.
So my journey started out as a children's book author.
Okay, nice.
But then my granddoll came along.
What did you call her? What do you call her?
My granddoll.
Oh, I love that. Your grand doll. That is so sweet.
Yeah, so she came along. She is now 13, going on 30. Um,
I'll tell you all.
think she's my mama. But she came to me when she was around 4 years old. We were actually sitting amongst my plush toys because I love stuffed animals. I actually have about
Nice.
100 of them. I know people say 100.
Wow, that's a
Some
cool
have more
collection
than
though.
that.
That's a cool collection though. Very neat.
But we were sitting there, and she, being that we didn't get to see her often because unfortunately she's a product of divorce, and
Mm-hmm.
so we didn't get to see her often. And so she looks at me and she says, Nana, I wish you could be here to read to me every night.
Oh.
And I looked at her and I said, well, maybe
Mm.
somebody will create something so that I can. Well, little did I know that someone was going to be me. Years went by. I think she may have been around 9, I think 8 or 9 years old. And I came up with Kobe.
Hi, Kobe.
So Kobe doesn't actually have my voice. It has a voice of two other voice actors,
Hmm.
voiceovers, I
Hmm.
think. But my voice is by way of the download. Kobe has a feature where you can download your own
Hmm.
content.
Nice. Okay.
So her plush Kobe has my voice as far as our favorite song is You Are My Sunshine.
That's cute.
So I sang that to her on there, and I read some stories to her
Hmm.
that deals with being away and
Right.
some stories that's relatable to
Hmm.
two of us.
Okay.
And I think there's one other personal song on there. So Kobe has that wonderful feature, and that's what a lot of people love about him is
Yeah.
that a child can, when they are away from their loved ones for long periods of time, they can draw comfort and solace knowing that they can be close to that person
Right.
by way of their voice.
And whatever stories they want to share with them through that, they can
Right.
do that.
Any songs, any stories, any personal
Messages.
messages.
Hmm.
Hmm.
I
Yes,
love that.
and it has 5 pre-recorded stories on there that I've written,
Hmm.
and soothing music, volume button, headphone set. It actually holds a photograph book where
Oh,
they
that's
can
cute.
put their own, like a wallet-sized picture
Hmm.
in there. It is detachable, so you
Okay.
can lay on it as a pillow.
Oh, that's so cool. I love it. I love it. The more you were talking about, the more I just got so sentimental about it because, my grandson is, he lives in Texas and I'm here in Georgia. And, it's like you said, it's just really hard to constantly be there. I mean, yes, even with video, but still, everybody's lives are busy. So you can't
Right,
assume, that you're going to hear from them every single day, right? I mean,
right.
And of course, when he was here, I made him a little bed. Yeah, I had a little pillow, all that stuff, and it'd been so cool to have something like that there. Even though he was here, just to be able to still have him connect with me. When he's in his room trying to go to sleep. So I love that. I think it's
Yeah.
beautiful. It really is beautiful. Um, it's so funny. I was going to ask you, how does the Plush Tales blend storytelling with the toys? But because you are a storyteller and you are an author, I understand how that works together seamlessly. But I would like to ask you, as a creator of a plush doll character, what challenges have you faced in bringing Kobe, and the world that he's in to market? How challenging has that been for you?
Well, it's been challenging because I'm a solopreneur.
Mm-hmm.
So I had no idea how to get this started when I did get it started.
Mm-hmm.
How to start a business, how to run a business, how to go about having Kobe created. The marketing side of it has been, oh my goodness, the hardest. Funding has been very hard trying to get. I've been able to get a couple of grants
Mm-hmm.
to
Oh,
get me
nice.
started,
Okay.
but I am in need of
Mm-hmm.
more grants, because there's a
Right.
lot of other things that I want to incorporate with Kobe. So that's been a challenge, just being a solopreneur and wearing all the hats. I'm just a creator. All I want to do is
Just
write
create. That's
and
right.
create. I want to hand the hats off
Right.
to someone else, to another team. So it's just been really challenging trying to get a team,
Yeah.
together
Yeah.
to build my brand and
Yeah,
get
yeah,
out
I
there.
understand that. So I had a couple who was on the show, Ricky and Kia Davis, and they do a doll called the Early Affirmation Doll. And they were talking about the same thing as far as you being the creator. And I think that is so true of most dollpreneurs, right? They create. That's what they do. And when they have to switch that over to becoming more in the entrepreneurial business part of that, is the challenge because that's not what they thrive on, right? They thrive on
Right,
creating something and not
right.
necessarily, numbers and budgets and everything else that goes with you being a entrepreneur, marketing, all those other things. So yes, you do, um, as a creator, you do have to wear these multitude of hats. That sometimes it's just not as fun as creating. It's just
Yeah.
not. It's just not. So I understand that. So when you say you didn't have any experience in doing any of this, how did you start? I mean, when you thought about creating this, what was the first thing that you did to say, okay, I'm going to get this moving?
First thing I did to get this moving was start following other entrepreneurs and seeing what they were doing, the ones that traveled the road that I'm traveling and are on their way back. I stopped them and say, "How did you do it?" And just really getting advice from them. Google became my friend,
Hmm.
doing a lot of research,
Right.
um, hiring different toy creators to help me with the business side of it, how to do,
Hmm.
different things. That's really,
That's really how you got it started. How was it for you finding manufacturing? Because I know that's a big challenge, and distribution because the numbers that they usually require you to produce in your first run, and sometimes it can be challenging for first time
yeah.
entrepreneurs or dollpreneurs. So how was that, the manufacturing and distribution for you?
Well, that was hard in itself. The first person I had took advantage of my lack of knowledge, and I lost a lot of money with the first manufacturer. They didn't create my
Hmm.
plush correctly. I couldn't get my money back, and um, so I found a lady that was making toys for McDonald's and
Hmm.
different restaurants like that. So she gave me advice and
Nice.
helped me find another manufacturer that did a small run for me.
Okay.
Just wanted to see if Kobe would thrive or if there was a need for him.
Right.
And I see the need, but now it's just a matter of making him a
Hmm.
household name. So now I'm on my actually on my third manufacturer because that
Oh, wow.
manufacturer They didn't do they made the plush properly, but they don't, what do you call it? Is it drop ship or send to
Mm-hmm.
stores?
Mm-hmm. Your drop ship.
Yeah, you
Mm-hmm.
gotta be able to send the plush to store. They only send to your home.
To you, right? Exactly.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So I
Mm-hmm.
had to find another manufacturer. So that took some months.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah. It could
um,
take a long time back and forth. But even with all the technology we have, still you have to deal with something that's probably overseas. So that does take a lot of time to do
right.
that. So when you said they did a small run, what was the first run that you did of
Was
the
the
amount?
first round was only 200.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, they did 200.
Okay.
The manufacturer that I have now, theirs is 500. So
Okay.
I am working on,
Mm-hmm.
because I made some changes to Kobe. So he looks the same.
Mm-hmm.
Um, however, he has a pouch in the back,
Oh, nice.
that will hold a book. I am doing a series,
Mm-hmm.
um, with Kobe going on from state to state. He will come in different colors.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever the state color is, that's the color Kobe will be.
Okay. I love
And
that.
it has the back strap so that Kobe can go wherever the child
Wherever the
goes.
child goes. Okay.
And the original Kobe is 16 inches, and this one is 14.
Oh wow. Okay. So he's smaller, but he carries more things. That's
Right,
interesting. Okay.
right,
That's good. I
yeah.
love the design on that. That's great.
Thank you.
I
So
love
they
that.
kind of looks the same, but just got a couple of small changes. But their run starts at 500. I
All
am
right.
juggling options here. Like I'm trying to do a sponsorship to get that because I can't place an order till I've reached that 500. So I'm trying to come up with different ways to
Mm-hmm.
be
Yeah.
able to get that
Okay.
number.
Okay. And speaking of that, how have you been marketing him? Like what has been the areas that have done really well for you and what have been the areas that haven't, or have you not been able to do enough to know what that is?
I haven't been able to do enough to
Okay.
know. Right now, I'm across all social media:
Mm-hmm.
Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn, which is how I found you on LinkedIn.
Right.
So I just been marketing myself, doing 30-day pitches. I guess you
Mm,
would not pitch, but doing 30-day posts
mm-hmm.
about how plushes are effective for children, like for autistic children, children in the
Mm,
hospital, for children whose parents are incarcerated, who are
nice.
deployed, just
Mm-hmm.
trying to show how Kobe is effective in all those
Mm-hmm.
different areas.
That's really good. It's so funny. Like you literally led into my next question, which I think is brilliant. Because I was literally going to ask you, how do you see plush dolls or like Kobe fitting into the larger toy and doll industry, and and um and what unique role does he play in a child's development? And I kind of think you just mentioned a little bit about that. So can you expand on that for me? That would be great.
Well, for one, being that it has the stories on there, my stories are really the pre-recorded stories. They're unique. They're not the C Spot Run kind of stories, although
Mm-hmm.
those were great stories and kids
Right,
learn
right,
from it.
right.
But my stories have, like, I would say, I don't know if I should say lessons, but
Mm-hmm.
value that they can learn from. And of course, if they have the book, they're learning to read along with the book. So they're building their vocabulary, their
Mm-hmm.
language along with learning the different values that each of the books
Mm-hmm.
have.
Okay. And you mentioned something about children with their parents in the service and things like that. How does that really help in their development? How does having something like what you offer, to the parent help them when their parents away?
Just the comfort, by way of comfort, hearing their parents' voice, depending on what that parent puts on there, will go a
Mm-hmm.
long way with that child,
Mm-hmm.
because it has the module has it's not like your typical 30-second,
Mm,
like some
okay.
plush have like only 30 seconds. This is large. You could put a large amount of content on
Content.
there. So
Okay.
like one parent put Bible stories. I was able she purchased two of my Kobe's and I put 50 Bible stories between the two.
Wow.
Um,
Okay.
depending on the content that the parent puts on there when they're deployed,
Right.
really depends on how much they can benefit from it, along with the soothing music and being able to look at a picture of their parent while they're listening to soothing music or listening to their voice, will bring about comfort. It will relieve stress.
Right. I love that. So how do they go about doing that? When they get Kobe, they just download their voice to the toy. How does that
It
work?
Well, it comes with a USB cord. So Kobe has a USB port,
Okay, nice.
and it comes with a USB cord. So they can either there are a lot of sites on the computer that you can use to record your voice,
Mm-hmm.
or you can use your phone and
Mm-hmm.
save it to your computer and
Okay.
just download it. And
Okay.
he has there you go.
Oh, that's cute.
That's the download button. So that
Okay.
signifies which hand to use to put
Mm-hmm.
to mash the button,
Okay.
to play the content that they put on there.
That is so cool. I love it. I mean, okay, look, coming up with a plush doll is one thing, right? We're coming up with something like that that really is very interactive and allows the person who's getting the plush toy, like their parent or grandparent or whatever, to utilize it and then put everything together and give it to their child. I think is just really phenomenal. I mean, I'm listening to you talk about it and I'm like, really? Okay. I'm thinking, I just like, wow, that's so cool. So how did you decide what was really needed for this idea that you had?
The statement that she made, then I wish you could be here to read to me every night, was like, I need to come up with a way so that that can happen so that she can hear my voice. And but as I was creating, just different things started coming to mind. Well, they're gonna need a way to hear their loved one's voice. That the volume needs to be there.
Mhm.
I don't know. I'm very creative like that. So as I added one thing, another thing came into mind, and it was just at first I thought maybe I was putting too much, and then I said, well, maybe it's not enough. So until it all came together, and
Mhm. Okay, so now that your granddaughter is not 6 or 9 or she's 13, but when you created it, was she still 9? Was she still about 9 when you actually got a prototype? How old was she then?
when I got my first prototype, I think she was 8 or 9.
8 or 9. Okay. And how did
Yeah.
how did she respond to it when you presented it to her?
She loved it. The fact that it had my voice on there and it had the songs on there, especially "You Are My Sunshine." Um, yeah, she loved it. Now she's at 13. She's doing something totally different, but she knows Kobe is always here for her with my voice on there. So
Mhm.
she, you know, she loves that.
Yeah.
That idea came from that little one sentence that she said. So
Yeah, I bet she must be really proud of that. So that's wonderful. So what has been, I mean, I know you've had some of the challenges when it comes to, manufacturing distribution. And I just want to say, I want to thank the people who have helped mentor you because that's not easy either, finding people who are willing to share information, when it comes to manufacturing and distribution. It's sometimes, it's just well-guarded secrets that people do keep. But
yeah,
I'm so thankful that they decided to share that with you. And so you can bring, Kobe to life. So let's talk about some of the costs that go involved that are involved in this because being an entrepreneur, solopreneur, dollpreneur, most of the time we are spending our own money to have this happen
yeah.
for something to come out of our heads that we're passionate about to have a physical representation of that. So what were the challenges when it came to creating it monetarily? Was it really I mean, did you find yourself like thinking about, oh my God, I need to like get a loan. I need to like, oh my God, mortgage my house. I mean, I've had those stories already. So I
Mhm.
know it can be really challenging, to keep
Yeah.
that going.
Well,
How was that for you?
you said it.
All the above.
My house has been I said I'll never pay it off because it keeps funding me.
It's funny. That's so
That's
true. It's so
yes,
true.
business loans
Yeah.
and but the hardest thing is I guess I guess I could say I'm further along than most people only have an idea.
Yes.
I actually have a product,
Yes.
but it's like I've spent so much to get where I am now, and now it's like, where do I go from here? How I can't.
Hmm.
My house is gonna take legs and leave if I keep if it doesn't start.
Bringing
What's
back money,
yes, yes, and
recouping all that money.
right, right.
Yeah.
My husband's
Yeah.
gonna leave
Yeah.
if I don't do something.
I think he'll be good. I think he'll stay there. But it is a challenge, and it's really, it's really not just time consuming, but it takes a lot of money to do this,
It
and
does
and
a lot.
the more, entrepreneurs, dollpreneurs I talk to, I really try to I really try to ask them those questions because I really want people to know that yes, even though you're creating a doll or a plush toy or whatever that may be, it is still a business, and it requires a lot of money going in, and it requires a lot of money to sustain that. And again, like you said, you spend that money up front to create the doll. Now it's like, I don't have no money for marketing. Like, how does that work? Right. I gotta
Right,
now
right,
spend more money to market that. But again, that goes with part of being a business owner. And I think a lot of times being a creative person, you don't think about those sides until now you
right,
have a product and you're like, oh crap, now I need to do something with this, I need to be able to
right.
figure out a way to like you said, recoup some of that money, and be able to, yeah, make money from my investment, because it is a huge
Um,
investment.
yeah, I'm looking for a return on my investment. That's what I was trying to say. Actually, I don't know if well, I've been researching, trying to see if I can find someone that will work on commission if they
Mhm,
believe enough in their work and what they do,
mhm,
their expertise in selling and marketing, if
mhm,
they will be willing to work on a commission basis. I've been
mhm.
looking into that. That's been challenging to find.
Okay.
So
Have you did a GoFundMe? Have you done that already?
I've tried to do, if you don't have a large following, a large backing, that's hard.
Hmm.
People make it look easy. And I tried to do a GoFundMe with when I first started my books,
Right.
and that I tried twice, and that didn't go well.
Hmm.
So I'm a little kind of,
Frustrated.
scared to, yeah, frustrated and scared to do it again because
Mhm.
I don't, whatever it takes to make it successful, apparently I don't have.
Right. But like you said, I think there are definitely always some other things, right, that go into play that make that happen for people.
Yeah,
Definitely one is a huge following, right? And I know some people will say, okay, you don't have to have a lot of people, just have dedicated 100 people, to move your things forward. But the bottom line is people, want to be part of things that are huge. And I think a lot of times they don't think about the people, they don't think about where people started at or need to
right,
start at to make them huge. You don't just be huge. You know what I mean?
right,
There's a process in that, and I found that to be really, really challenging for other dollpreneurs, especially if you don't have your dolls on the shelf, especially if you're not in a toy store where people can actually see you, how do they know that you're out there? So, but I think what you've been doing has been really good, putting yourself on shows, putting yourself on podcasts, just getting interviews, because I think that brings in a different, brings in everybody else's subscribers, listeners and viewers. So that's definitely helpful. But I definitely understand the process of trying to make sure that you market it enough to, generate some income for you. Because I mean, at the
right,
end of the day, it's still a product, regardless if it's a passion and product or not. It's still something that you want to sell and you want other
right,
people to find and to utilize. um
right.
So I definitely understand that. But through all of this, what has really been your most rewarding experience, as a plush doll entrepreneur? And how has been, the response from the parents and children that you have that have purchased Kobe?
Well, what's been rewarding is just actually having the product itself. When it finally came and it was in my hands, and knowing what all I had gone through to get it, that's the most rewarding. And just
Mhm.
being able to say I have a business, and Corp Literary Works is my business name, and Kobe Storytime Plush Tales is my product, is my
Mhm.
brand,
Mhm.
is that's been rewarding, by itself,
Mhm. Right. Right. I
is
get that.
just having the product.
Yeah, that's true though. That's true. It's so funny. I remember when we did the plus size fashion dolls, and I remember when they first, after we had sent all the product to them, as far as the artwork and all of that, and the clay and all of that. After they sculpted them, they sent it back. They sent back this wax mold for us to look at, and I understand what you're saying, because it was this brainchild of my friend Audrey's, and she blessed me to be a part of the, growing that company with her. And um and when we saw the doll, she had no, all she was just wax. She had no eyebrows, like no eyelashes, nothing. But it was the most beautiful thing that we saw, because like you said, it was something we thought about, had all of these sketches back and forth. And then it's tangible, and
Right.
that is just like it's so, I don't know, it's just so amazing when that happens.
Yeah.
So I understand. I totally understand how you felt about that. So that is a great reward. But I also think, having the children experience what it is that was in your head beyond just your grand doll, is got to be like really amazing.
My son, my baby boy, when it was like a light bulb went off in my head. I saw this guy who he put games on bed sheets. It actually started there, because I was
Mm,
like, oh my goodness, if he can put, because I have bed sheets too.
mm-hmm.
I said, if he can put games on bed sheets, I could put my stories on bed sheets.
True.
And then, which I did, I put one of my books is called Naira's Bully. It's on a bed sheet. I felt like it was, if a child goes to bed with that story on their mind, learning
Mm,
about bullying, learning whether they are a bully or not.
mm.
Great
Wow.
idea. And then it was like something was just went off in my head with Kobe.
Mm-hmm.
And I ran upstairs and told my son, I was like, I got an idea, I got an idea. And I ran it past him, and he was all excited about it. And
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and my oldest son is how old is my 35. I have one that's 35 and one that's 25. He's always giving me business advice, sending me different places that I can go to show
Mm-hmm.
Kobe off. And so
Right.
my boys have been very, I just have two boys. They've been very supportive. My husband has been super supportive, but like I say, he's gonna leave me if Kobe don't start doing something. But he's been super, super supportive.
That's
Actually, the
cool.
pouch on the back of Kobe was his idea.
Oh, nice. Okay. I was gonna
Yeah,
ask you, where did that come from? Like, why did you think you needed that? Were you
yeah.
getting feedback or anything, or it's just okay?
Well, but because I have books, and because I'm going to do a series, like I said, Kobe going from state to state with different situations, it will be nice for a child to choose a book that goes with Kobe.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, it doesn't have to be a book. They can put little trinkets in there
Things that they travel with. Mm-hmm.
that they
Mm-hmm.
travel with. Yeah, so my family, my unfortunately, I lost my mom in July.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. Yes. Oh,
Lost my dad in 2012. So,
wow.
but my mom, she has a Kobe. When we learned that she had cancer,
Mm-hmm.
all the siblings got together
Oh,
And each of us put different messages on there for her
oh,
and her husband, and we sat there and she just boohooed and listening
oh
to
my
each one of
goodness.
us
Oh,
tell
that's so beautiful. I'm
something.
gonna cry already. I'm getting ready to cry because that is
Yes,
so beautiful.
yeah.
Oh,
So that
wow.
we use Kobe in that way, even though he has children's stories on there. That module still can be used for even for adults with Alzheimer's.
Yes. Yeah.
Their grown up children can put something on there,
Mhm. To
trigger a
share
memory
stories,
or
right? Yeah. Oh, that is so powerful because wow. I mean, I would also think too, people with Alzheimer's, finding something that is comforting for them, in a type of, like you said, a plush doll or character, I think would allow them to feel more comfortable, and then
right,
hearing those stories in their children's voices, hopefully will bring back really beautiful memories for them, so
right.
that is so, oh man, okay, maybe, okay, wait, give me a second, really. Wow. That's really powerful because I remember, and not to go off on a tangent, everybody, but I just want to express how I'm feeling right now. I remember when my mom was sick. She didn't have cancer, but she had a major stroke, and she was it's probably the first time I'm sharing this on a show. This is crazy. She was paralyzed, but I went to see her in New York, and I remember leaving and telling her that I would be back, because I was going to bring my husband back with me, so we could, because we knew that it was almost the end of her life, so that we could say goodbye. And but after I left, she, passed away. I guess she was waiting for me to leave for her to do that. Things like that happen. People don't want you around when things like that happen. Um, and I'm just thinking about how it would have been so cool to have something like that, for me to have this conversation with her, because I think because of the stroke, that was one of the things that we lost together, was the conversations that we would have every day.
Yeah,
And I found myself grieving that part much earlier than when she actually left. You know what I mean? Physically left.
right, right.
But just to be able to have to say things to her, with this, something that could lay next to her because she was bedridden. And I just think that would have been such a great connection. Wow. I mean,
Yeah.
you really touched something me in a moment there. But hey, look, you do a show, this is what happens, this is all real stuff. And it's not just because it's a toy or doll or
Right,
anything like that. It's what those connections bring to people when you
right.
create these amazing things that all you creators create out there. And I want to say thank you so much for doing that.
Yeah, that's one
Yeah.
of my slogans is about Kobe is it brings about comfort, and the biggest word you said was connection.
Yeah. And I love how you were able to, I love how you shared with us, the different ways that Kobe could be so helpful to people in different areas. Because I think a lot of times people will see something like that and just assume or take for granted that can only be utilized in one space.
Right,
But what Kobe does, for people in so many different places and so many different opportunities, such a wide range of
hmm,
opportunities to connect with people. That is so
right.
cool. It's so cool.
Eventually, it won't be just my stories. I would like to bring other authors in
Nice.
and put their
I
stories
love that.
on there as well.
So I know we got the story of Kobe and how you started, creating the plush doll. So how did the name come about? What does the name Kobe mean, or is any meaning to that name?
Not necessarily a meaning. A lot of people think it comes from the basketball player, but it doesn't, because even when I had to trademark the name, that
Mm,
was one of the things that I had to express, that it was not after
mm-hmm.
the basketball player. But Kobe came about because it's a koala, and a lot of people will fight me on it being a bear, but it does have bear features. So I took KO from koala and BE from bear
Oh,
and
that's
named
so
it Kobe.
cute. That
Yeah,
is that
that's
is so cute. I love that. And see, I would have never thought of that. That is so cute. I love it. I love it.
Yeah, that's
That's
how.
great.
And he has a sister. She's in the making. I won't show her. I'm not. A lot of my granddaughter loves her,
Hmm.
but it's not in the shape of a pillow
Okay.
that I wanted. So
Okay.
he is going to have a sister named Chloe.
Okay. So Chloe and Kobe. So what
Hmm.
other do you have other characters that you are well that you're willing to share, with what you're coming up with or any other expansions that you plan on doing?
I do want other animals that I am going to use right now. We just focusing on because the koala was my granddaughter's favorite animal.
Okay.
She's changed it since then. But the koala started out being her favorite animal, and that's how I came up with the koala.
Hmm.
I will eventually expand to different animals. I have a whole list of things that I want to go along with Kobe. I want to brand them onto different products like
Hmm.
clothes,
Hmm.
luggage, and jewelry, and
Okay.
um, different things like that.
Okay.
Party
Hmm.
supplies, make it
Okay.
a party theme.
Yeah. That would be cool. I think that would be really neat.
I went to a meeting with the Board of Education on how to get
Nice.
the product in schools because I'm trying to get it in daycare centers and
Mm. Hmm.
preschool and
Hmm.
possibly kindergartners. Uh,
Okay.
Hopefully that will go well.
Okay, yeah, I'm sure that will. That'd be great. I mean, if you told them what you told me about the connection and how that matters, to not just the parents but to the children, especially ones who are in school having a hard time because they're separated for the first time, it'll go well. It'll go well.
I hope so.
Yeah, it really will. So, before you go, can you just share a little bit of like advice that you would give other entrepreneurs that are, maybe want to turn their characters or stories into tangible products, like the plush doll that you did?
I would just say, I'm trying to think of that phrase that my mom used to tell me. Okay, so I remember the phrase that my mom said that sticks with me, and she said, "Persistence beats resistance." So, be persistent when that idea finally, when you finally get go from idea to a
Mm-hmm.
product. Be persistent. Follow with other entrepreneurs that have been there and done that. They're successful. They're in stores. Get
Mm-hmm.
much advice. Follow their posts.
Right.
um, follow them. See what they're doing,
Right. Yeah.
and go from there.
That's very cool. Thank you so much. I love that phrase that quote that your mother gave you. I think that is so true. Yeah, you have to be if you really have a passion, for something that you really want to bring to life. Because, again, like I said, this space is beautiful. So many people create amazing dolls and toys and products, but it is definitely financially challenging for a lot of solopreneurs. So but you know what? If you move forward and you constantly keep moving forward, I really truly believe that people will show up to help you. You
I'm
know,
looking for that. Yes, I'm looking for that company that says, okay, she's in it to win it. Let's give her a chance.
Yes, yes, it'll
And,
happen. It'll happen
and
because you're still in it. You know what I mean? The only way it's not going to happen is if when you decide to stop, but as long
right.
as you're still in it, somebody will see the vision and somebody will know your passion and somebody will know how what you have created can help so many children and adults as well. So that's what I love about your product too. Can you just share with everybody how they can connect with you, how they can find Kobe?
They can go to my website. Excuse me. It's storytimeplushtales.com. Facebook is Mrs. Annie Books. LinkedIn is Mrs. Annie Books. Also on TikTok and Instagram is Kobe Storytime Plush Tales. You can find me on there as well.
Thank you so much, Annette, for reaching out to me. Thank you so much for saying yes to being on the Dollpreneur podcast. I really appreciate you being here. I love your journey. I love your story, and I love what you're doing with Kobe. as well as what you're doing for all the amazing people who have received COVID to help to comfort them and connect them to people that they love. So thank you so much for doing that.
Thank you.
You're so
And thank you
welcome.
for what you do.
Oh, thank you so much, sweetie. I appreciate that. Thank you, everybody. Thank you for watching the Dollpreneur podcast. Bye.